The Athletes United experience here on Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. I'm your host, Big Mel, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and your favorite co-host, my own Big Sonny, the great Lorenzo Johnson. Say hello to the fans, Lorenzo.
Hello. Good morning. We're going to have a great show this morning.
By all means. Sonny, from humble beginnings, began this concept of Athletes United with the purpose of attending certain issues, events, and social dynamics and magnifying them beyond the norms, if you will. We've seen anything from civil matters to DNA matters,
Right.
and the absolute freedom of incarceration due to the attention and visibility of some athlete, right? We've seen that here recently. It's extraordinary. It's made to order for people with insight and charisma to deliver a unique experience. One area that athletes have a world of connection to is rehab, recovery, fitness, and wellness. Huh? Isn't that right? So, to that end, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome to the program today a proud member of Athletes United, former professional athlete, world-class fitness model, and professional trainer turned entrepreneur, Miss Christy Jonick, and affectionately known to us as the great Dr. KJ.
Dr. KJ.
Yes.
Welcome this morning, Dr. KJ.
Thank you. It is an honor, Mel, to be on
Absolutely.
this show this morning, and so I look
Absolutely.
forward to it.
Well, let's dig in. And you've done a lot of things. But can you just give us the sort of the retail version of how it started and how you arrived here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want the long story or the long story short?
We want truth. That's what we want. We want to get to the truth.
Yeah, so I always say there is purpose in our pain, and that is kind of my mantra of how I got here,
I like
and how Nirvana became about, and how my holistic health and alternative medicine business came about. And so it just kind of all goes back to when I was 8 years old, and I remember being diagnosed by my medical doctor with rheumatoid arthritis, and
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid arthritis, yes. And I remember just being so young and just being in so much pain every night that I would cry myself to sleep. My mom would be sitting at the foot of my bed massaging my ankles, and because I just had so much pain in my knees and ankles all the time,
Yes.
and in my joints, and so,
Yes.
I was diagnosed at a very young age with rheumatoid arthritis, and from there, I was always called, kind of the sick child because I did all the right things. I ate healthy, exercised right, and I was always sick. And this kind of went on all throughout, high school, college, and during this time, I went through, severe depression, severe mental health issues, anxiety, depression, OCD. I had, panic attacks. I was suicidal at one point. And so, you can imagine,
You ran the gamut there for a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was living on the edge.
Yes.
So, I give God all the glory as to, I probably shouldn't be here today, but I
Amen.
am, and I'm very thankful
Amen.
for that.
Amen.
I give him all the credit. And so, I always had faith that I could get the old Christy back, and I could feel myself again, and I could experience joy and happiness, and
Yes.
not always live with worry or this chatter in your head or anxiety about everything. And I fully believed that I could get that confident me back, that fun, childlike Christy back,
Yes. Yeah.
And so, I've always been a woman of my faith. My parents, they raised me, to pray about everything, big or small. We prayed as a family together all the time, and so I was always in my faith. And so I had faith that I could heal, and my parents always encouraged natural medicine first before reaching pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that. And so they took us to naturopathic doctors when we were younger, my sister and I. And so after a while, and it helped for a while. I would see naturopathic doctors and this and that, and it got very expensive. And so I would get relief, and then I would go back to the same kind of patterns, and so I kind of just gave up for a while. And I was still seeing my chiropractor at the time because I was still training hard and working out, and so I was still getting adjustments. And she mentioned to me this form of therapy that I never heard before, and she kind of gave me her testimony and her experience with her therapist. And so, I figured, what do I have to lose at this point? Nothing to lose.
Yes.
Why not try it? And I booked a session, did my first session, and I just kind of felt like it did something. And so I continued to do it. And after about 4 sessions of biofeedback therapy, I noticed a difference. Like, I just felt different. I had more energy. I was happier. I was more light going, easygoing. I wasn't having these crazy mood swings like I used to have. My temper was better, and I just had more like mental clarity, more energy, and and then it was about after maybe 6 to 8 sessions, my family kind of started noticing a difference, and they were like, wow, like, really encouraged me to keep doing it. And so I did. And it's funny because then now they do it today. My friends, family, they all do biofeedback therapy as well. And it's and so that's how kind of I got into or found biofeedback therapy. But and then that kind of goes into another story of how I honed in on my business and whatnot. And so I'll give that brief little explanation. But so my therapist actually passed away suddenly and unexpectedly, and about a year later, and I was devastated. I was torn when her husband called me and delivered that message. And I'll never forget that day. And I felt so lost. Like, I felt
sudden passing.
Sudden passing, yeah. And it was like, I finally found somebody to help me, and now, what am I gonna do? Like, who am I gonna see now? So, and I was driving an hour and a half to see her, and so it was a big deal, right? And so, she was like a second mother to me. She's one of the people that really changed the trajectory of my life. And I truly believe that God used her in her, in her career and in her path to be a healer, and it was beautiful. And so I was torn, and I remember talking to her husband and just giving my condolences, and never met him or anything like that before. I didn't know him. And anyways, I kind of asked, what's going to happen to our business? Like, who's it going to go to? What does it look like from here? And so, he said it was going to go between 2 naturopathic doctors, a chiropractor, and another doctor or a therapist. And so, I was like, well, surely, these people are years beyond me. They're years older than me, and they're 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and here I am, 20-year-old Christy. And so, I inquired about it. I was like, okay, well, keep me updated, and I am interested in maybe buying her machine from you, or And so, anyways, he calls me back, and about a week later, and he says he just really felt called to to pass it down to me. And
wow.
And I was like, very honored, right? And I was like, I'll be there tomorrow, I'll be there tomorrow to pick it up, see what you got and all that. And so, we drove to her cemetery that day together. We gave her condolences, said our prayers, and we just really bonded. We had a bond, and he just really felt like, he said he just felt peace about it all. Like, he just felt like the Holy Spirit and God was guiding him throughout this whole transition, and he just had so much peace about it, and he just felt like Kay would want me to carry on her legacy. And so I was very honored.
He took you into a confidence like that.
Just like that. And that's total God story. Just total stranger, didn't know me or anything about me. And he actually went to the extent, that later that night, when we were packing up her stuff and all that, he actually said he had something for me, and it was a Bible that he gave to Kay when they got married. And so that was very special, very dear to my heart. And he told me there was a lot of wisdom and knowledge to be gained from the Bible, and I truly do believe that, because she was a very wise woman, and she read that book every single day.
And now he's entrusting you with this keepsake.
Yes.
That had to be special. My God.
It is awesome.
Sonny, I'll follow you.
I was just
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just. I mean, I noticed she said she had rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 8.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
8.
Being a doctor, is that something that's kind of common at that age? Because when you say rheumatoid arthritis, I would think someone older.
You're thinking of someone older.
Yeah, that's what I would think. But did you want to speak on that just a little bit?
Yeah, so that's funny you say that because, you know, I think, you know, as a mother or, you know, my mom, I think she was very confused why I was crying every night. You know, she was like, there's, you know, you would never think that your kid at 8 years old would have some kind of, you know, chronic inflammation of the joints like that, rheumatoid arthritis. And so, you know, I think she was a little bit confused by, you know, this pain that I was experiencing in my joints. And she maybe thought that, you know, she, you know, always said, you know, why are you really crying, you know, this and that. And I could imagine, you know, why she thought it was, you know, it was something else that wasn't pain in my ankles or knees or joints. And so, yeah, when you say that, yeah, it is uncommon, but in today's world, the stressors we are experiencing, you know, it's, you know, as our world advances, we're in contact with more stressors every single day than we were when our ancestors lived and when ancient times, you know, existed. And so, you know, we're seeing these autoimmune disorders and autoimmune diseases begin younger and younger and younger in today's world. And so that is, you know, that kind of makes you wonder, you know, what's changing. And you look at our world and how it's advancing and, you know, all of these things. And so.
Doctor, we underestimate the importance of stress or the impact of stress? To what extent? To some extent, I suppose.
Stress.
We throw the term around as if, you know, it's like a mild cough or something, but stress, as we examine it, has deep biological implications, apparently.
Absolutely. Stress, whether it's, you know, psychological or physical, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You know, it's good to have, you know, a little bit of stress. You know, it keeps us alive and whatnot. That comes from our hormone, cortisol. A little bit of cortisol is good. Too much pushes you off the edge. And so, you know, it's not good for our bodies to live in that constant state of fight or flight. You know, it's not good for us to, you know, constantly, you know, feel like we're living in survival mode. And, you know, it is said that people spend 70% of their lives surviving and living in stress. And 70% of their lives living and surviving in stress.
Let's re-emphasize that hormone you mentioned there, particularly cortisol. Did you? Cortisol. And it impacts inflammation or
so cortisol is one of our stress hormones. So we have sex hormones, we have stress hormones, and we have brain, you know, neurotransmitters and brain hormones. But cortisol is one of the stress hormones. And so, you know, that's our fight or flight. If you've heard of that, it's our fight or flight hormone. You know, it helps us to survive being chased by a lion. And on the other hand, you know, it helps us to fall asleep at night. You know,
you ever run from a lion, Sonny? Do you ever? No, not yet.
No bears, no lions.
It's not.
No.
It's not a good fix, you know. So your specialty obviously has much to do with de-stressing the fictions we live in on a daily basis, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So, you know, it is said, and I believe that all sickness, diseases, illness, cancers, autoimmune disorders are caused from stress, and they're triggered from stress. And, you know, we all have cancer cells living in our bodies right now, right? But it isn't until the stress is triggered that these cancer cells become activated. So whether they're unactivated or activated is the issue. And that's just, you know, one example, but stress is absolutely the killer, whether it's mental stress or physical stress. Too much, it can be very harmful. And what we think matters, you know, and so that also goes back into, you know, healing emotions as well, because, you know, oftentimes, you know, emotions can get trapped in the body. And if emotions are a record of the past and emotions get stuck in our bodies literally think they're living in the past 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, then that creates that stress.
Hmm.
Our bodies don't know the difference between a past experience and a current occurrence. And so
I
somebody
see.
who's experienced some really traumatic events in their lives in their past or as a child, this often shows up in their adulthood. It often shows up in their adult lives, and it often comes back. And so it's important to clear out those stressors, clear out those emotions. And, this is exactly what biofeedback was designed to do by the amazing scientist and inventor, Raymond Rife Royal. And he created many amazing frequency machines like the Rife machine, the biofeedback machine, neurofeedback, the Rife system, and all of these things. And, he believed that at certain frequencies and hertz and sounds that he could shatter cancer. And so he would try these different things, and he would try different frequencies until he would look under the microscope and see if the cancer cell had changed any, and he would keep doing this until the cancer cell died. And so the same, right,
that's quite probable.
It's powerful.
But now listen, this kind of practice has social implications. I mean, how we deal with challenges in our public life and our work life could be impacted by the therapy that the people in your business provide. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it could change the world.
Absolutely. Change yourself, change the world. It begins with you.
There you go.
Sure.
That's fantastic. Now, who needs your services? Who is your best target, if you will?
Ooh. I don't think you are too sick or too healthy to try biofeedback therapy. I think it's for everyone. Everybody needs it.
I see. Sonny, you might need some. I don't know. You thinking?
Well, definitely. I know. It was this topic we were talking about earlier about your foot therapy type thing.
Ionic foot detoxing.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We got about 2 minutes before we go to break. Do we want to touch on that before?
Well, we could. I mean, that's probably a little more generous conversation. So maybe we just do that after the break.
Yeah.
What do you think? If I read your story correct, you're kind of a rural country farm girl. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Huh? We may as well talk about that. And we'll bring that to bear when we return. Back from this particular commercial break, we're talking with Dr. KJ, Ms. Christy Yannick of Athletes United. Back in a moment.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
And we're back with the Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. As we broke with the break, we were talking with Dr. Christy Downing here, Dr. KJ, regarding specific therapies, unique therapies. One particular you had in mind that had something to do with the foot.
Yes. The ionic foot detox.
Oh, he
Let's
knows
talk
this now.
about
He
that.
knows
Yeah,
this now.
That's something that
That's
kind of
good.
appeals to me. I'm
That's
definitely
good.
interested in having that.
Yes, yeah. So we offer a few different services at Nirvana Neuro and Biofeedback. Ionic foot detoxing being one of our main babies. This specific bath really encourages detoxification on the cellular level. And so basically the way it works is, to give you a visual, it uses negative and positive ions to attract and expel toxins from your body. And so basically you'll be in a bath, your feet will be in a bath with a specific solution that we mix, and then we put an array in there, and this array uses again frequency to attract negative and positive ions and to expel it into the water. And so it often will turn, a certain color, whether it's green, yellow, brown, black specks on the top, or white, white foam on the top. Everybody's bath will look different depending on, where their body is detoxing from, or where their body has the most toxic load. And so it'll often pull from there first. Often it's people's livers, because our livers do over 800 functions in the human body a day.
Ouch.
And so oftentimes we'll see people's livers begin to detox first in the beginning of the program. And so it's amazing. Our patients, clients leave feeling energized. They often report just feeling lighter, more agile. It's great for aches and pains, joints, all kinds of things.
And you're telling us the water actually changed colors based on what particular organ these toxins.
Wow.
Sounds a little woo-woo, but I promise it's not. It's amazing.
Wow.
This is definitely not quackery. We're talking about, evidence-based science up here.
Yes, absolutely.
By all means.
Quantum science, quantum physics.
There you go. There you go. Now give us your elevator pitch. I mean, let us know why you are uniquely qualified to deliver these services. We believe in it. You've convinced us that it's valid. Now, why are you qualified to do this?
Yeah, I will say that experience will teach somebody more than any book, certification, license, certification ever will. And, me being through all of these experiences and all of these, being sick a lot, being sick with autoimmune disorders, autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, chronic pain, injuries. And so, it's a really humbling experience and journey. Like I said, I truly believe that, we go through pain to turn it into our purpose. And so, I wouldn't be the same practitioner today if I didn't go through all that. Would I want to go through it again? Absolutely not. But do I regret it? Absolutely not. Because, I wouldn't have the same passion. I wouldn't have the same compassion over clients and patients who walk through my door who have these chronic illnesses and diseases and sicknesses and mental health issues. I wouldn't be able to relate to them the same way that I can today. And so, that's just kind of, I would absolutely not take anything back. I don't wish anything to be different in my life. Was it hard? Absolutely, but that is, that is just my belief.
That's powerful. Doctor, we underestimate, you mentioned mental health a couple times here. And my sense is that we oftentimes either underestimate it or give it short shrift when we're talking about the entire health perspective. Am I off base here somehow?
Yeah, so health is big. Our well-being is big. Our mental health is big. And it is said that our personal realities shape our personality. And so when you're constantly sick all the time, it's tough to feel like yourself. It's tough to be able to be excited about life, or do things that you dreamed of doing. And so I always say that your physical body and your mental health, all of these things, and your lifestyle, the way you eat, drink, move, it's so important. And we were designed to move our bodies. And so when you're doing all these things, you know, it's impossible to not, you know, feel well. And sometimes it's other stressors. And so it's all about getting to the root issue of your condition or, you know, your disorder. And so that health is big. Health is number one. I always say health is wealth, because if you have that, you know, there's a lot of things you can do with that.
Yes, ma'am. So when you sat down with a client, one of the things you want to do is get to root cause, right? So you do some kind of root cause analysis with clients. Yeah. Is that helpful? Is that
yeah. So you know, here at Nirvana, we truly believe getting down to the root issue of the cause is, you know, is our goal. It's our mission, and you know, it's a case by case thing. It's not a one size fits all approach. It's not, you know, this works for this person, so this is going to work for you, right? You know, it's all about getting to the root issue. You know, you go to a allopathic doctor and you're with them for 5 minutes, telling them about your issues. They send you away with a prescription medication, and I'm not anti-medication, but they're treating the symptom. They're not treating the root. They're treating the symptom. You go to a doctor, you have depression, for example. They're treating depression is a symptom of the root. It's not the root itself. It's not the root.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing as a stomach ache. You get a stomach ache. Well, it's not, you know, it's not the root. It's a symptom of maybe something you ate, or, you know, the way you feel, you're nervous. So depression is the same way. You know, low hormones, low testosterone. What is the root? What is causing the depression and the low testosterone? And, you know, it can be anywhere from gut imbalance. It can be an actual neurotransmitter imbalance. It can be low hormones. And so figuring that out is key to gaining that health back and to recreating that homeostasis within the body.
I like that word. I know what it means vaguely. And Sonny knows what it means, of course, right? Yeah. But listen, that we want wellness, we want health, we want the full panoply of what we want to do when we feel good. There has to be some minerals and or supplements or something that plays part in that, that aids in that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you know, we also one of our services offers a functional medicine program. This is customized. We do believe in functional medicine. We do believe in using herbs and minerals to restore the body's natural balances. And so they absolutely play a big part, prominent role in our health, in our bodies, you know, our bones, our muscular skeletal system, our cells, our, you know, DNA, chromosomes, you know, our brain function, all of these things. And so, you know, when we're deficient in one area, it can be a big problem. Low magnesium can be a big problem, and it's such a simple fix, but, you know, it can be hard to often assess without knowing the root issue.
What about big guys like me and my son here? You have to give us a lot more of this stuff?
Well, we have about 30 seconds before a break. Pops, you want to go ahead and take us in the
All right,
break?
Take us out, Sonny.
Well, you're here with Athletes United, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we're back with the Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio, because truth still matters. We broke. We were talking to Dr. KJ about various supplements and various ways to reach nirvana, which happens to be ironically the name of her practice. Sonny, you had a couple questions for her that I thought was relevant.
Yeah. Before we left for the break, we was kind of getting into just talking about like your experience, like where you're from. I know you're from a small town, so farm girl. Let's talk about that experience.
Is that right?
Share that with the
Yeah.
viewers.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town, more cows than people. So, yeah, small
That's
town girl,
interesting.
grew up in the country. Parents raised us on quite a bit of land. You know, we didn't have much neighbors, if really any. And so, yeah, I think that really instilled in me at a young age to be independent, independency. And, I grew up with a gun in my hand or a fishing pole in my hand. And if I didn't have that, then something was wrong. So, yeah, my dad, I would always bale hay with my dad. My mom taught us how to cook these amazing home-cooked dinners and meals. And so, yeah, I think that really helped to instill an independent character at a young age. And so I'm very thankful. I deep down will always be in that country girl. That will always be home for me. Don't get me wrong, I love my big city, but the country life will always be home.
And what's the name of that, your town?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in El Campo, Texas.
El Campo.
El Campo.
Shout out to El Campo.
Yeah.
And Sonny, let's note that one of life's most underestimated values is the ability to meet a gorgeous young lady who can handle a gun. Okay, that's critical. You understand what I'm saying?
Very critical.
So you told me your father had welding equipment and this kind of stuff, and you learned to manage some of that as well?
Yeah. So
Wow.
my dad is a welder. My mom, she was a teacher, a math teacher. And my dad went into the welding business, started his own welding service business. And then my mom later, when they got married, she decided to open up a welding supplies business. And so
Wow.
it's kind of cool seeing them both work together and work kind of side by side together. And that was always kind of inspiring to me as well, being, both my parents being business owners. And
yes.
and so that always inspired me very
Yes.
much so.
That had to affect your worldview in some way. I mean, there's no way it could not affect how you see the world and how you approach entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pros and cons that come to entrepreneurship and owning your own business, right?
Bet.
And so, yeah, it's a big responsibility. It's a weighty position, but it has a lot of pros too. It gives you, you're in control of your time, you're in control of your schedule. You get to have more freedom if you so choose. And so it gives you a lot more, freedom in a sense, but also it's a blessing and a curse because you're never really turning off.
That's
You're
true.
always working, right?
That's true.
You're
Yes.
working even when you're not open. And so, yeah, my parents definitely, they were a huge inspiration of me to want to create my own, business for myself and to be my own boss and to work for myself. So that was instilled in me at a young age.
Well, at the point that you decided to become an entrepreneur, what did you see as the number one drawback?
Ooh, the number one drawback. I would say that it, like I said, it is, it can be a weighty position. It is a big responsibility. And there is a lot more that goes into a business than what people see. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that never get seen, that really don't ever get talked about. And so it's a lot bigger responsibility than people realize or think. They see business owners and CEOs and founders doing all these cool things, but they don't realize what it took to get there. And
Exactly.
oftentimes started from ground up. And
Yes.
so it takes a lot of work for sure. It takes a lot of grit.
Grit. I love that term, grit. Well, as a member of a world-class concept like Athletes United, how can you explain to us how being an athlete has molded your business behavior?
Oh, I love that question. Yes. So, you know, it's funny because I often find myself as a business owner referring back to my years as an athlete, as a professional athlete, as a competitive athlete, referring back to the mentality that you have to have when you want to be the best, when you want to be a champion, when you want to be number one, when you want to be the overall winner. And so
She hit them all, didn't you, baby? She hit them all. You can relate to
That
all
is
of
the spirit. I love that.
it. Yes.
Yes. And so I often find myself referring back to that mentality that I had. And I will say that being an athlete, it had its season for sure. And, you know, it's funny the way I look at my timeline of my life and the way things were set up and the things I went through before I'm here. It's just no coincidence. And, you know, I believe that God has every day laid out, every day sorted, every hardship, disappointment is there for a purpose, for a reason. Every season in our life, nothing is wasted. Everything is used. And so, you know, looking back as an athlete, I really think it taught me a lot of endurance, perseverance, and grit.
Yes.
You know, and that I use today to keep pushing when things aren't going the way you want. Perseverance, to keep pursuing.
Yes.
And grit to really dig deep.
We've touched around the edges about Nirvana and the name of the practice. Can you give us your contact information and URL or something of that nature so the fans and the viewers can have access?
Yes.
And be informed.
So we have a website. We have so we are on social media as well. And a little kickback of where Nirvana came from. Nirvana is, you know, reaching the highest state of peace where all pain and suffering goes away. And so that's kind of the definition of Nirvana. You'll see that on our website of where the name came from.
Oh my.
So nirvanabiotherapy.com is our website.
nirvanabiotherapy.com. All right.
You can contact us there. You can reach us there. You can book an appointment there. And then nirvana.holistichealth.wellness is our Instagram, social media.
Which is heavy. Say that again.
Nirvana.holistichealth.wellness.
Okay, I'm not going to try that. I'm going to butcher it for sure. But thank God you can. Doc, you got a whole practice going on here. You're doing a lot of things in the community. Do you think being involved at a broad community level is important to entrepreneurs? I mean, Saturday afternoon social events, gatherings of entrepreneurs, some kind of civil function that gets your name out there, gets you involved in things that are particularly not indirectly related to your business.
Yeah, so it's a lot of networking. It's a lot of you know, socializing. You know, I love spending my extra time, my free time, you know, with like-minded individuals, with other business owners. It's amazing when you get in that environment. You know, just the thoughts, the ideas you share, the commonalities you share. But also in my free time, I love to do, you know, volunteer work. I love to get out there, serve. There's different organizations that are dear to my heart. Home of Hope being one of them, dealing with, you know, young females who have been sex trafficked, and you know, being involved in that, and with them, other volunteer work like feeding the homeless, and just really getting out there, serving, being of service to others, helping people. That is what fills my heart. That is what fills my cup. And when I'm doing that, I feel the most joyful doing that. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things.
Wow. So we see clearly there's more to business than just P&L.
For sure.
Yes. Obviously, you have a social media presence, but you attract clients in various ways. What do you see as being most important?
Oh, good question. You know, what I see as being most important is just being real, raw, vulnerable, sharing my story, because I truly believe that, you know, I went through what I went through to help other people. And you know what? Even if it's just one person, you know, I'm like, I lived, because it doesn't stop there with them. I know that when you help somebody, it's a domino effect. It's the chain of love, and sometimes it takes one person to spark that. And so, you know, that is my biggest calling, my purpose, my mission is to, you know, if my story, if my past pains and traumas can help other people and other women and men, then I lived. You know, I could say that my legacy lived on.
All right. Is it just your client's base more female than male, or opposite? balance?
No, it is 100% balanced.
Ah,
Yes, it is not a female service. It's not a male dominant service. It's very much so balanced.
was that on purpose, or it just happened coincidentally, or somehow organically?
Organically, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. We're talking with Dr. KJ. Ms. Christy Johnny of the Nirvana Health Practice that she described earlier. Listen to the broadcasts. Latch on to her website, her URL, her contact data, and get in touch. Be educated. I find this young lady fascinating. She's created this business out of her own love, out of her own care, out of her own past experience. And we want to promote this. We want to make certain that it gets the kind of airing and the kind of clarity that we all hope for. So we're here today, again, talking with Dr. Christy Donick. We refer to her as Dr. KJ, health and human practitioner. Oh, I'm sorry, not health and human, but health and wellness practitioner. So thank you all for joining in today. Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio, where truth still matters. And we'll be back here this time next Friday. Thanks everyone for joining in.
And we're out like a scout on a new route.
On a new route. All right.